So this is the back of the packaging. As you can see, the great folks at Target decided to destroy mine. It looks like they grabbed it up here by the flap to box it. And when they did, they peeled back the packaging and destroyed it, which is great. I was not too happy about that. But luckily, this is the one I was opening to display to begin with, so I wasn't too let down. But if this is one I was going to collect in box, I would have been pretty pissed off. Anyway, you got the original artwork there by Greg Capullo. Really badass looking, just classic 90s Spawn and his alley garbage throne. Side of the box has some new Spawn artwork there. This side you got the Spawn in the window, and then you got the front window. It's got a top window. You got the class there, 14 plus, not a toy, from McFarlane Toys. I always love that when they put that on there. Oh yeah, you got that look at the packaging. Again, where Target decided to destroy it before they sent it to me, but what can you do? So here's everything out of the box. I took out all three of the main pieces. I left the stand in there. I'm not going to use the stand for this figure because I'll explain that here shortly, but he's going to sit in the throne for the most part anyway, so I did not unbox that. So here's the throne. The throne actually was packaged in the box with this piece separate. Not quite sure why they had to separate this to package it and not mold it together, but that's the choice they made. This just kind of pops back on there. You got that. So we'll give you a closer look at the throne details here. It's actually really cool. You got the cape piece here. Really kind of a tough rubbery. The cape has two plugs. There's a plug here and there's a plug here. So if you want to take the cape off, you can, it's kind of stuck, there we go. You can unplug that and pull the cape off if you want to display it without the cape piece. I'm going to leave mine on just because it was kind of a pain in the butt to put on the first time. Spin this around a little bit, let you see some of the details down in there, like what you got the skulls, looks like garbage or mold or moss. For being a cheaper, 40 bucks, they actually did a really good job on the detailing on this throne. The sculpt of it is really cool. There's all kind, you can see all of the skulls and the random pieces of the guns. You got a crate down here. You go towards the top, you got this, looks like a motorcycle handle. Some more pieces, I can't tell what that is. You got the gun handle here. And then up through here, you got the rib cage, really cool. You got the spikes where the spine all the way up. So I guess people call this the skull of the throne. I don't see a skull, but I guess whatever. It's just got random teeth. It's really cool. It's a hollow piece. Really light. Feels like it's probably PVC or vinyl. But honestly, it would have been cool to see a couple more parts of it painted a little more, like the saw blade here would have been popped out better silver, and maybe some accents or something else over. But for the most part, they did a really good job of sculpting and making this thing really stand out. So there's that. And then with this figure, instead of coming with a full cape like the other figures we've gotten, this one only comes with this top half of his cape. I know a lot of people were complaining about this because they wanted to display the figure on its own without the throne. You don't get the full cape, and he looks kind of funny. I'll show you why. It's another reason I'm not going to use the stand to display him, because he looks really weird with just this piece of his cape. But you got that, there's the detail. You got this silly painted rubber chain that connects it. It would have been cool to see real chains on this figure, but for the price and everything they got going on, it's probably just cheaper. I wish they would have done a little bit better of paint. This is just like a cheap thrown on silver paint. It would have been cool to see some detailing or some flush on there maybe. Kind of flesh it out. But for what it is, no, you can't really complain. And here is Spawn himself. Let's see if I can get it to focus there. There we go. So you see the figure, there's the head. The detailing in the head looks a lot like the Mortal Kombat Spawn. This one's probably a little more defined with the paint application on the white than the Mortal Kombat one did. To me, it doesn't look like the eyes pop out as much on this one as the Mortal Kombat one did, but you can still see there's his green eyes popping out. Go over all the detailing on this guy's gauntlet. Half of his gauntlet. There's the, I guess we say the M, Spawn M on his chest. Got this arm. There's the chains, the skull on the front. His pouches, it wouldn't be Spawn or an Image Comics character if it didn't have pouches. There's that foot. Then you've got the infamous boot, Greg Capullo added during his 10 years Spawn. Detailing there. The boot is probably my favorite boot they've put on a figure other than the Kickstarter Modern Spawn. That was probably my favorite boot, but for a general release figure, I really like the way this bootleg is bigger than the other ones. It's not as fleshed out as the Mortal Kombat one. They just kind of did a basic, I don't even know if they painted it. It almost looks like the red mold in plastic. They just slapped it on there and painted the silver spikes. But you got that. Articulation, his head. You can do a full swivel. This one you can kind of turn. Do a little lean. He looks up a little. He looks down a lot, so you can do some good brooding Spawn poses there when you have him in the throne, but he doesn't really look up. Something catching on the back of his neck makes him catch. The arms on this one are great. This one's got the butterflies, so you can really get some motion in there. Do his full swivel. Up, down. His arms, his elbow, you got just the basic. I don't want to break it. His wrist does a full kind of, it's like there's a ball in the wrist, so it goes up, down. You can kind of get some good wrist action in there. Doesn't really go up or down. The gauntlet catches it anyway. One thing that I note that's really annoying me on this figure is the spikes on his hand catch the gauntlet. It's just kind of annoying when it comes to movement of the hand. Luckily this one I'm just probably going to sit in the throne and display for a while. Like that, so it won't be moving it too much, but you know, you move it too much, it's going to scrape the paint off of the spikes on his hand from it catching like that, which is kind of annoying. But you got his abdomen. He's got a good ab crunch there. Probably one of the better ab crunches out of any of the Spawns that they've released. You get the separation at a certain point, but I mean, you could get him to do a pretty good back ab crunch, forward ab crunch. It does pretty good there. The hip, ooh, that's really tight, but that's a good thing. You don't want them loose. So you can twist them at the hip bone there. So he'll do a full pivot all the way around. His legs, you know, this is a figure that sits, so you want the legs to come up pretty good. That's about as far as that one goes before I get any resistance. You got the double jointed knees, which is great. Makes it easier for bending. Same thing on this leg. Oh, up. Double jointed knees. Come down, you got his ankles. Ooh, that clicked. I don't know if you can hear that. I don't know if the ball joint's out of place or what that is. I don't want to mess with that too much, but you know, you've got the up, down ankle movement, and then he's got the toe movement. This one underneath the boot, this foot moves too. Obviously you're not turning it anywhere because the boot catches it. And that one's got the toe. Let's pull it back out, straighten it back up. Should I do that? You got, here's the back of him. I didn't show the back of him, but see the details of his back. You get the separation of the pieces there when he does the front ab crunch. Spawn butt. Chains come up here and connect. One of the things that I really don't like about this figure, and it's not gonna drive me too crazy because he's gonna sit in the throne, is it's really weird the way this paint comes down and then they continued it down to meet his butt. Usually, you know, I've seen figures where it goes down and then it comes back up his back to do kind of a similar kind of look to the front. Or I've seen where there's just nothing back here, and it really looks weird the way it comes and connects back here. Like I said, it's nothing major, like it's not going to drive me crazy, but the other thing that drives me crazy about this figure is the skull on his butt. I have no clue. I've never seen a Spawn. I've seen it in the front like this, but I've never seen a Spawn that had a skull on his butt. I can't imagine sitting down or doing anything with a skull right above your ass would really be beneficial to anything. It'd probably be really uncomfortable, especially if you're sitting in a throne like this guy's going to be. You know, you don't want a skull up your ass. But so that was a weird choice to me, why they decided to mold. Maybe it was easier just to mold it together in one piece so they could just stick the chains on, because that's where he's connected, is the crotch skull and then the butt skull. The other thing I'm not a fan of is these big bulky chains they got going on here. Real thick rubber. You know, real chains would be cool again, but even, I mean, we've seen it with other figures they've done with the rubber chains where it looks a lot cleaner and more well polished, I want to say. These just really bulky and big, and they get in the way of the leg when you move the leg, then they stay like that. I just don't like the way they look. They don't, just not a fan of it. I mean, other than that though, everything else is pretty decent on this figure. A little cheap. The other thing I could point out that I'm really not a fan of is the gauntlet. This front side looks really good. I mean, I would have liked to see it toned out a little bit more like the Mortal Kombat one, but the front side looks good. But for some reason, on this inside arm here, if you can see, if I can get it to focus, you can see they molded the gauntlet into his arm. So the molding's there like it's supposed to be there. They just didn't paint it. They left it. Let's try to get it there. They just decided, I don't know why they decided not to paint that. I don't know if that was something they missed in the production or that was a choice they made, but you can see where it's molded to be the full gauntlet. And they didn't do it. They painted the inside of his hand where his little strap for his spikes goes through. That's all the way around. But for some reason they didn't paint this gauntlet. I think it kind of takes away, especially since he's sitting in the throne and he's going to be pros, you're going to see the arm exposed like that. It kind of takes away a little bit, but I mean, it's nothing too major. Just a little pieces. Let's see if I got them all twisted because the butterflies, that's how good they work. So anyway, there's that. Well, he doesn't want to stand up right now. I guess I put him out of whack. I guess again, another good reason why I'm going to put him in the throne. Doesn't want to stand up very well. Anyway, there's those pieces. So now let's put it together and see what it looks like on the throne. Alright, so putting this guy together, which, you know, is simple. It just slides this on. Then on the back here, the cape has a little peg, and there's a hole grooved in his back. And if you line it up right, which mine is not lined up right, you can hear it as it goes in there. And now it's pegged on him. And it's really tight, which is nice. It's not going to loosen up or move around at all. Let's get you the full view of him with this half cape on. Show you a little more of what I was talking about with the displaying him without it. Man, this guy does not want to stand upright. There we go. It's kind of loose. That's something with the ankles not lining up. A typical classic McFarlane move. So with the ankles, they put the notches where it's either the notch to hold is going to hold him too far forward, or the notch is going to hold his foot too far back, like this. You can see I'm trying to, not even doing it, and he's falling on his own. Notice that a lot with the more recent McFarlane figures, the DC multiverse figures especially. I have a huge problem with this with the Batmans. They just don't. So I don't know if they could start putting the notches in the middle where there should be, or just get rid of that whole notch system and come up with something else. But anyway, going back to this, there's what he looks like standing with just the half cape on. Let's show you what he looks like in the back. Fully exposes that Spawn butt with the butt chain and the back stripes. It doesn't look too awful without the whole cape. It does look a little odd, especially with Spawn being one of the, you know, a character known for having a huge flowing cape. Odd to see him without it. But anyway, and then we take the throne here, and we're gonna want to get the leg up. I did notice when I first got this guy, I was messing around. It was really hard to get him to sit in the throne right, because his feet want to come down lower than the throne, so the throne was essentially lifted up like this. I've played around with this guy a while though and kind of loosened his legs up, and he fits a lot better now. But out of the box, it was really tricky to get him to sit in here right. There you go. Let's sit him on the throne. His arm here. It's giving me some trouble there. There we go. Try to line him up straight so he doesn't look crooked and his lines on his abdomen line up. Pop his head up a little bit. There we go. And there you got your Spawn sitting in the throne. The original one came with a skull Spawn held in his hand that was based off the original artwork. This one doesn't have anything. His hand just kind of sits there. You could put it down, or you could have him, you know, position it however you want him to be thinking. Whatever you want to do. But that's an overlook of how he looks sitting in his throne. Spin it around a little bit so you can see the full view here. Then you've got the cape flowing out, so it looks like he's sitting on his cape, like he's caped underneath his butt and coming down back around the chair, which I think looks really cool when he's sitting like this. And you've got these parts of his cape that kind of flap over. Gives the illusion that he's got a full cape on when, you know, you're looking at it. And there you go. There's your new deluxe Spawn figure. Sitting in the throne. That's how he's going to sit probably up on my shelves. Just like this. Let me grab a couple of the Just grab the Mortal Kombat spawn and I'll compare the two figures for you. Okay, so I went ahead and grabbed the Mortal Kombat 2 spawn just to kind of let you get a look at the difference in comparison size. Size is pretty much the exact same. I know in my video it looks like the new Deluxe one's a little bit taller, but they're the same size. The Mortal Kombat one's on the stand, you know, you can see your details there. Got the capes. Or lack thereof cape. Man, this guy does not want to stand. That's really not good, but luckily this is a figure that's made to sit, so it's still really kind of annoying. You know, like closer look here. Head sculpts if it wants to focus. The Mortal Kombat one, I really like the paint detailing of his, you know, the stripes on his chest. They're more defined. I like the more, this one just looks like somebody took like a paintbrush to it real quick and did a quick line job on it. It's not the greatest. Like that. The chains, another, this is what I was talking about earlier, how we got these rubber chains on this Mortal Kombat one. I really like these a lot better than this. I wish they would have done something more like this. Just kind of bare bones, simple, but it looks a lot more detailed. With the barbed wire there. The skull looks better too. This one's more like a goofy, I guess it's more like the comic book, I guess, skull on that one, but I really like this one better. Detailing there, the pouches, the boots. Like I said, I really like the boot on this new one, the Deluxe one. I like how big it is and the size of it, but I wish it was a little more detailed. Like the Mortal Kombat one just stands out a lot better, I think. You can see a little more of the tones in that one than this one. The feet there, totally different sculpts. I was originally expecting to see a lot borrowed from this Mortal Kombat one, since McFarlane likes to do that a lot with their sculpt, you know, borrow pieces. But this one's a little more basic. It's not as toned out. Like you can see the biceps and the muscles on the Mortal Kombat one compared to the new one. Another thing, the gauntlets. Mortal Kombat one, they did the complete gauntlet there. This one, like I showed you earlier, they didn't even do the inside of it, just the outside. This one's got a better gauntlet than this one does. I mean, overall, it's not terrible for what it is. I should look at them up close if I could get it to stand and not fall. So there's the comparison of those two figures and the overview of the new Deluxe Spawn. I believe the new one is a $40 price point. If you're looking for a cool Spawn figure to display standing, I would probably say stay away from this one. Like you've seen the whole video, I've had problems getting him to stand on. He probably stands better with his little stand, but he shouldn't need a stand to stand with, especially with this big boot. You think that'd be enough to hold him up? Jeez, it's just all kinds of problems with this guy. I'll just hold him for the rest of the video, I guess. Anyway, yeah, so if you're looking for just a Spawn to display, I would stay away from this one. I would hold out. McFarlane's usually pretty good about re-releasing certain models when we get new ones like this, so I'm sure down the road here soon, probably in the next wave, we'll get the same figure again. Hopefully a little more detail with the full cape. Maybe some accessories, some guns or something. Sword. Something you could display him with. If you're looking for the piece because you like the throne, this is a really solid piece. It's not as detailed and great as the original, but the original, you know, goes online now. I've seen them looking earlier like $150, $160. So if you missed out on that one, or you're new to Spawn collecting and you just want a cool Spawn sitting on a throne, For 40 bucks, I mean, you can't really beat that with the detail of the throne, and it looks pretty cool sitting up there like that. If that's how you plan to display them, I'd say it's worth picking up. Overall, this figure, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10, just because of the problems I pointed out and him falling over the whole time compared to the other ones. But I mean, if this is all you're looking for, you want to spawn in a throne, there's your spawn in a throne. It's worth picking up. I got this one from Target. It's a Target first exclusive. I think I saw people saying that Amazon and the other retailers, Walmart, I don't know if this is a GameStop one or not, but all the other retailers are going to have them in July. So if you can't find them at a Target now, hold on. Amazon pre-orders are still open. Get in there, pick one up. Thanks for checking it out. See you in the next review.